justice in this world. There's no point in keeping score. Some got it bad, some got it worse. There's no justice in this world. Sometimes your best just ain't enough. Some other guys have all the luck. So I guess I'm waiting for the last to be first. There's no justice in this world. But I guess it could be worse if I always got what I deserve. There've been some lessons harder learned, I bet. And as far as I'm concerned, the only reason you're my girl is there's no justice in this world. Will try to understand. Some things are out of my hands. Maybe it's a blessing and not just a curse that there's no justice in this world. Well, I guess it could be worse if I always got what I deserve. There've been some lessons harder learned, I bet. And as far as I'm concerned, the only reason you're my girl is there's no justice in this world. Could be worse if we always got what we deserved. There've been some lessons harder learned, I bet. And as far as I'm concerned, the only reason you're my girl is there's no justice in this world. Justice in this world.
Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do they have anyone in the audience that needs to speak? Ms. Stanley?
I have a couple of things that I just wanted to say to the board. One, I want to thank the Fairs to the Fair Pageant Committee for donating their phase, as they call it, each night. The money that comes into that, they are donating this year to the elementary schools, dividing that among them. So wanting to give them a shout out for donating that money to us. That was very generous of them, I think. Two, we have decided to postpone the TCAP celebration that we had planned for next week. We've got some people out sick. We've decided to wait and do that in September so that we can be better prepared for that. We are absolutely ecstatic over what a good job our students and our staff did last year. They worked really hard. We're super proud of them for that. We want to celebrate it. So we're going to wait and do that in September. And as soon as that date's planned, we will get that out to you all and to the community, put it on the website and on our signs. And the last thing is, I want to give a shout out. This week, the Winfield School made Scott County School System history. We have the first middle school girls volleyball team game at our school on Tuesday. And folks, that was fantastic. We had such a great time. We played Jacksboro. They brought in a 15-girl team, and they, as I understand it, have had a team for 8 or 10 years. These girls were very disciplined and pretty good-sized girls. And we brought out our 8 girls, and I think they were all a little bit nervous too. First time doing this. We were nervous for them. But first game was 25-11. We lost that game. Second game, the girls began to kind of get their bearings and figure some things out. We were ahead part of the time. We were tied part of the time. We ended up losing by 3 points. So, you know, to play an experienced team like that, we are ecstatic over our girls for that. So a shout out to the Winfield Girls Middle School Volleyball team for making history this week. Thank you. That's all.
I think it's awesome that you started a volleyball team.
It's awesome.
I think that's great.
Any other principals? Have anything?
Quick update, next week's first football game, the 18th, it starts at 8 o'clock to accommodate Cumberland County, who's traveling from the central time zone. That's pretty much it. We do have back to school meet the Highlanders at 6 o'clock tonight. Everybody's welcome. We'll have ice cream.
Next Friday.
Next Friday, 8 o'clock.
Thank you. Any other principals? Any other central office? If not, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Quick update on Mr. Hammond mentioned to meet the Highlander tonight from 6 to 7:30. Y'all mentioned the change of the game time to 8 o'clock for the first football game. Middle schools, you should all have a schedule of those. I think they're kickoffs. So next Thursday night, 1 week from tonight, we'll have a middle school football. We'll begin their play. Do have a new rule change. Well, it's not new, but it's something that's really going into effect this year. Mr. Tito was delayed ejection rule for the fans. If a fan is ejected, it is a $250 fine. It's middle school, high school, $250 fine for that school. I know some school systems are opposing that fine toward the person who's ejected. And I think some are imposing the rules of not allowing the fan back in until the ejection is paid. Is that correct, Mr. Hamby? I think
That's what I'm hearing. I know Morgan County Schools posted on their website that they just basically said that the fan will pay the fine and will not be allowed back until the fine is paid. It's not, the rule's not really any different. We've always been fined $250 for an ejected fan. I think the onus from some school system is to, rather than leaving it up to individual cases as to whether we pay it or whether they pay it, it's just kind of a blanket rule of If you get ejected, you're paying the fine. Kind of way I'm reading it.
That's across any elementary and.
Yes, that is cross. Yes, absolutely. We also, it's up, of course, number one, we're the host team, it's up to us to control the fans. Bottom line. So, a lot of times, depending on the officials, they will give you a warning or ask you to get somebody calm down. If you see it as a principal, then it's your duty at that time to make sure that, we maintain control at all times during the games.
I think that's, I don't mean to interrupt, but I think this is something that probably a lot of people aren't aware of, and it probably should be posted like on Facebook and in the papers.
We could put it on our website. I would like to do that. When we meet, as far as with you guys, I'll give you the date on a retreat. But it's something that we could set into what, if we want to take that step, with everything.
They're making an emphasis that we're responsible for our fans at an away game.
And away games also.
My thing is, how do you, well, you're wearing Scott Eye shirts, so therefore
Yeah.
I don't know, that's a hard one, but they're making a point of
Yes,
it.
they are. As we found that out
Yeah.
year before last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scott, do you have some?
So if the thing gets thrown out, the school pays the $250 and then the parent would reimburse the school, is that what,
Yes, that's something we could look at to see.
before they come back?
I think there is so many games you have to sit anyway, is that what we
It's
found
usually
out?
two.
2 games, and more if the school chooses.
Yeah.
So that's something I'd like for us to discuss when we have our retreat. With that. So far, guys, we've had a great start to the school year. I've been able to get in every school except for the Huntsville schools, so I hope to get over there in the morning. I saw some amazing things going on, some great teaching. And I may peek in the door, stand at the door for a minute, and I may go in the door. But I saw some great things. And I'm not yet to go in somewhere where somebody is not teaching at their level best. And that's been something great to see. Also, guys, our enrollments right now currently, we set it as today of 2,370. That's up about 42 from when we finished last year. So Ms. Leato, she'll go try to clean some things up, double check everything. Could be a little more, a little less, but that's what we said as of right now is 2,370. So if you guys will check your calendars, if this don't work, please let me know. For Wednesday, September the 6th at 9 a.m. for a quarterly board retreat. As far as looking at my calendar, and that's kind of what it looks. Wednesday, September 6th at 9 a.m. Greg, if you'll check your building, please. Okay, it's good? Okay. 6th, September 6th.
Okay, that brings us to item number 4. In accordance with board policy number 1.403, the Scott County Board of Education should adopt an agenda for all items to be acted upon during the regular monthly meeting of August 10th, 2023. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, roll call.
Dr. Murphy?
Aye.
Ms. Terry?
Aye.
Mr. Silcox?
Aye.
Ms. Sharp?
Aye.
Ms. Kidd?
Aye.
Mr. Stanley?
Item number 5, in accordance with the Scott County Board of Education policy number 4.403, the Board of Education may include routine and non-controversial items on the consent agenda, which may be adopted by a single vote without discussion. Any item on the consent agenda may be removed and placed on a regular agenda for further consideration at the request of any board member. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of July 13th and approve the bills and financial report for June of 2023?
I'll make that motion. Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Sharp?
Aye.
Ms. Terry?
Aye.
Mr. Silcox? Ms. Kidd?
Aye.
Mr. Stanley?
Aye.
Dr. Murphy?
Aye.
Brings us to item 6A, Children's Centers Contract. Board approval is necessary to continue the contract with the Children's Center of the Cumberlands to provide child abuse education classes in all the schools in Scott County. Do I have a motion to contract agreement between Children's Center of the Cumberlands and Scott County Board of Education for the 23-24 school year at the rate of $25,000?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Terry?
Aye.
Ms. Sharp?
Aye.
Ms. Kidd?
Aye.
Mr. Stanley?
Aye.
Dr. Murphy?
Aye.
Mr. Silcox?
Item 6B, board approval is needed to continue the contract between the Scott County School System and the Clinch Powell Educational Cooperative to provide meals to Head Start students at Birchville Elementary, Fairview Elementary, Huntsville Elementary, Robbins Elementary, and Winfield Elementary. Payment for these meals will be based on the Head Start program's monthly USDA reimbursement. Also, board approval is needed to approve the Disability Services Memorandum of Understanding with Clinch Powell to provide services to preschool children with disabilities. Do I have a motion?
I make the motion. Second.
Any discussion? If not, roll call.
Ms. Kidd?
Aye.
Dr. Murphy?
Aye.
Mr. Silcox? Ms. Terry?
Aye.
Ms. Sharp?
Aye.
Mr. Stanley?
Aye. Item number 6C, the Director of Schools and the Board of Education proclaim that our schools will stand with the nation in recognizing September as Attendance Awareness Month. We hereby commit to focusing on reducing chronic absenteeism to give all children an equitable opportunity to learn, grow, and thrive academically, emotionally, and socially. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Vote roll call.
Ms. Terry?
Aye.
Ms. Kidd?
Aye.
Mr. Stanley?
Aye.
Dr. Murphy?
Aye.
Mr. Silcox? Ms. Sharp?
Aye.
Should I read it?
You just want to.
Okay. Item 6D, approval is needed by the board to amend board policies as recommended by TSBA. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Silcox? Ms. Sharp?
Aye.
Ms. Kidd?
Aye.
Mr. Stanley?
Aye.
Dr. Murphy?
Aye.
Ms. Terry?
Aye.
That brings us to item 6E. In pursuant to board policy number 2.201, the Scott County Board of Education needs to approve budget amendments required to balance the budget for the fiscal year of 2022 to 2023. This action will allow funds to be applied to areas of the budget that lack sufficient funds to complete the school year. And that would be the GP amendment number 2 and the federal amendment number 1.
If I can add that, that should be the 2023-2024 school year.
I was guessing.
It says it down on the second one right there, it's just wrong at the top.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, roll call.
Ms. Terry?
Aye.
Ms. Kidd?
Aye.
Mr. Stanley?
Aye.
Dr. Murphy?
Aye.
Mr. Silcox? Ms. Terry? Ms. Sharp? I'm sorry, Ms. Sharp. I was calling you.
I did it for you.
Thank you.
Okay, item 6F, background. According to board policy number 4.302, board approval is needed for out-of-state overnight trips. District math coaches and teachers to Atlanta, Georgia, and Winfield Principal Special Ed Preschool Pie Conference at Pigeon Forge.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Vote on roll call.
Ms. Terry,
Aye.
Dr. Murphy,
Aye.
Mr. Silcox,
Aye.
Ms. Sharp, Ms. King,
Aye.
sorry, Ms. Kidd,
Aye.
Mr. Stanley.
Aye. Item 6G, approval is needed for the Scott County Board of Education for a dual enrollment agreement with Jacksboro TCAT. This dual enrollment agreement is for programs that are offered by Jacksboro TCAT that are not at Huntsville TCAT does not offer. That would be the HVAC, administrative office technology, power sports, industrial electricity, retail, hospitality, and tourism. Do I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Any discussion? If not, roll call.
Ms. Sharp,
Aye.
Ms. Kidd,
Aye.
Mr. Stanley,
Aye.
Dr. Murphy,
Aye.
Mr. Silcox,
Aye.
Ms. Terry.
Aye.
Okay, item number 6H, Imaginary Library. In order to continue our sponsorship of the Imagination Library, the Scott County School Board of Education must approve payment of $2,000 annual donation. Do I have a motion?
We're gonna leave that at 2,
She asked for an
That's all.
increase.
She asked for an increase to 3. Would y'all like to increase that to 3?
Is that your recommendation?
That'd be my recommendation, increase to 3,000.
Okay. Agreed.
Thank you, guys.
Do I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Any discussion? Lauren, roll call.
Ms. Kidd,
Aye.
Ms. Sharp,
Aye.
Ms. Terry,
Aye.
Mr. Silcox,
Aye.
Dr. Murphy,
Aye.
Mr. Stanley.
Aye. Okay, item 6I, Scott County Board of Education needs to approve the budget applications. To approve the following budgets for the 2023-24 school year and authorize the superintendent director to file any necessary budget revisions, addenda, or amendment requests. Do I have-
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Terry,
Aye.
Dr. Murphy,
Aye.
Mr. Silcox, Ms. Sharp,
Aye.
Ms. Kidd,
Aye.
Mr. Stanley.
Aye. Before we adjourn, Mr. Silcox, you have anything?
hope everything's going good. It's back, get the kiddos back. Everybody looks happy. Yeah.
Ms. Farley?
Same. Just glad that everybody's back and getting into the swing of things, and just hope and pray for a smooth year.
Ms. Shaw?
Well, yes, I do, and I think there's a lot of concern about the SROs. And I just want to see if I've got this straight. Okay. Last year, we had 2 from the Justice Grant, right?
We have 2 that was paid by the county.
The Justice
Yeah.
Grant.
Wasn't a grant, it was just paid for
By the county,
commission.
that was
Yes.
the policeman.
Yes.
And then 2 from the grant,
3 from the grant,
3 from the grant, and
2 from us. That's correct.
So that gave us 7.
I gave
right?
7 total, yes.
And the Justice Grant has changed now to where it's 1 per building.
The grant from the governor's office to the state is 1 SRO per school, per building, yes.
Per-
We have 7
yeah, per
total.
school.
Yes,
Right.
7 total.
Well, and my concern is, of course, for all the schools, and I do feel that there is a need somehow for there to be a male and a female at Scott High. And I would also like to have a rover SRO, or one that spent maybe 50% of their time at Scott High and then went to all the schools at a different time of the day. So that somebody could pick out a schedule and say, I know that there's going to be 2 at Fairview at 1 o'clock on Monday and Thursday. And I don't know how we're going to do this, and I realize that our children and our police department are, 2 very valuable resources. But I am concerned that for 800 children, we need at least 2 SROs at Scott High. And like I said, I'd love to have a rover. And that person could be kind of take care, a supervisor or something, be the link between the sheriff, because the sheriff has so much to do. But like whenever, say the SRO at Winfield's going to be absent because they're sick or something, that person could fill in for them. And when there was an issue, if there was going to be 2 SROs absent, he could communicate with the sheriff and see what the best policy would be.
Can I speak?
I'll let you.
Absolutely, thank you. I did meet with I was asked by the county commissioner tonight to come and kind of give my input and thoughts. Because there was money that was sitting there that was funded by the county for the school resource officers. And my thought was, I think, of course, number one is the sheriff's budget. He can do what he wants because that's his budget and those.
Yeah,
My opinion really probably doesn't matter. And that they asked me to come, and I thought that it was important that those guys took that money there to apply to the raises for those people.
Sure,
Because those people serve and protect our communities.
sure.
And they need it. They're grossly underpaid.
And aren't we purchasing 3 cars or?
We have purchased cars in the past.
In
I
the
think the
past.
grant now is actually, we paying for some cars. Mr. Phillips may be able to interject some there too. Is the grant going to be paying for some cars?
I think they're working on
We're
it.
trying to.
Yes.
So we don't control any of that anymore. But in the past, yes, we have bought vehicles. We did sign those vehicles over to Sheriff's Department, I think you
Yes.
will.
So the 2 SROs that was in the county's budget
Yes.
have been obsolete now.
That is now part of the funding.
It's part of this funding.
That fund, yeah, that's obsolete, not as far as the funding that funds them now. But that funding is gonna go toward raises for the Scott County Sheriff's Department. Now, I did ask
So they're not gonna have, they're just gonna hinge on the grant.
on the grant through the state. Now, that being said too, I also did ask, and I will ask at my finance committee meeting Monday, if the county would fund us another SRO.
I'll go for 2. I mean, really.
Well, I mean, and then we could, I'd have to get with my budget people and what's from there. Of course, it'd be to you guys. Anytime we do something with this budget, you guys gotta remember this is your budget, okay?
So the county could,
They could,
the commissioners could give the raise and possibly give us 2 SROs.
It would be adding one more officer onto their budget that's there. Be adding one more on the budget. And if you guys want to say, as far as helping with the funding or whatever, then we have to look and see what we can do.
What did we fund last time?
We funded 2.
Yeah, we funded 2, the grant,
We funded
SR
2.
grant did 3, and the county did 2.
Okay, so that is 2 fundings that was in our budget, set
Yes.
for last year, that is obsolete now too.
Yes. Of course, now, that was part of a grant. What we got now, everything is tied to TISA. That was our fund, of course, the fund last year, it was inside our budget. Yeah, there were 3 was funded outside the budget.
Because the SR program is going
But
away.
2 was inside our
TISA,
budget.
yeah, TISA does not give you money to fund a resource officer,
Right.
because we'd also probably have to look at maybe some in the new school safety grants. I don't think we fund from that.
So how long is this, how long is the governor proposing this 7-year grant? Or 7?
Well, right now it's 1 year, but I'm hearing he wants to continue. I would hope
I would
that
think.
any governor that comes in after Governor Lee's term will do the same. I know I think Dr. Murphy, if I can quote her here, heard some stuff on the WLT news the other day about maybe the Knox County deputy said they was gonna try to put 2 in. I looked for the story and I couldn't find it, but I didn't know if it was 2, if Knox County schools were funding or the Knox County Commission was funding an extra officer.
Can you
And,
see where it's beneficial, Danny, to have a female out there at that Sky High too?
Very would help a lot. It helped when Michelle was there last year with me, because just checking the bathrooms where they congregate and stuff like that, it helped out a lot.
Let me ask you, Mr. Phillips, do you think a rover would be helpful with the SROs? And that person kind of be the overseer or whatever and fill in for when anybody's absent?
It could help you out, because there's times that, like the other day, there was one officer, was doctor appointment, and I think Michelle went up and covered for that, one of our other officers, so it would help, yes.
And of course, I brought this up last week. And then this week, I have been bombarded with messages, parents wanting a female out there also. Nothing against anything you're doing, they just want, they've got daughters and stuff out there, and they just want a female out there.
I've had some also message me. I think it'd be great. We're also looking to see if one will. I mean, if we get one to apply and.
Yeah, that's my
You know,
next
that's the thing.
question.
Okay,
That's, do you,
so-
how many do you have that could possibly?
That's a question for the sheriff there, you have to, you know,
Yeah, because I had heard there's not many that would be available to be put in any more SRO positions.
yeah.
Just lack of staff to do it.
Yeah, that's a question for him, you know.
We're spread out and kids moving in a lot of different directions and between morning arrivals and dismissal and buses and parent pickups and student drivers and the bathroom issues with male and female. It's a lot, and let me say this before I say any more, Danny's awesome, all right, the guy, I'm tickled to death, but there is a benefit of having that female officer and that second officer. I mean, we just got a lot of moving pieces, and, you know, high school is still high school, it's structured, but it's still free, so there's kids doing a lot of different things, and I would, you know, I'm tickled to have Danny and his consistency, but that second officer and that female officer would
be great.
really help, yeah.
And I've heard that a lot of people like it. A lot of the kids, they like it.
He's perfect.
Are you questioning that?
If the deputies do get a raise, that might increase more females and males, you know, to consider doing that, and which is what they need.
And, you know, as it stands now, if we had, like it was absolute needed a female officer, we would have to grab Michelle from Huntsville Elementary in a pinch and either send them Danny or they're without,
Right.
as it stands right now, so.
And it doesn't matter what the school is, I mean, you know, folks don't think straight when they're gonna do something ugly.
You're right.
And I really do wish we could find a way to do that. If it's working with the commissioners and the sheriff or whatever, I feel there is a need for 9 at least. At least, and like I said, that one person spend an extra 50% of their time at Scott High and then, you know, visit the other schools and not on them.
Don't make Danny the rover, so.
Is it in,
So, yeah.
is it in our budget to fund one? Coach?
Is it in our, it's not in our budget currently, no, it is not in our budget. But again, you guys we can look, you know.
What I'm thinking is if we can get the county to fund one, and we fund one. You know, to get our two back.
I also did talk to Mr. Beatty about as far as, you know, even if we did fund one, I still think they need to be an employee of the Scott
Oh,
County
yeah.
Sheriff's Department.
Well, it has to be.
And they signed the same memorandum of understanding with them as far as what's been signed with the states right now, so.
And if we can't get a whole one, I mean, yeah, at least let's try for a part-time.
We do,
You know,
yeah.
I mean, if we can get a half of, you know, right, well, a 50% of Scott High more, you know, or the Rover, whatever.
Yeah.
But so next year that we can definitely have 9.
You know, I'm always a fan of more presence, not more time to put on the tree, but more presence, people available, because it deters things,
That is.
always.
That is.
And, you know, and you mentioned it a while ago, you know, deal with some, it doesn't matter.
That's
But,
true. That's true.
you know, anytime we can make our school safer, and, you know, and I say this, and I don't know if I'm saying it here. I feel like if the commission would step forward and we could step forward, I think that would be very impactful for our community.
Well, I know we've got
Yeah.
public support.
And
Yes.
I know
For our
that,
children and for our police
and
department.
I know I'm very tickled the fact that the sheriff's department was able to put that in the budget because it's well needed, well deserved. So we'll sit down, we'll look at some things, what we can do with our budget, get back with you, hopefully have it, you know, if we know something before the end, we can talk on the 6th, but if we know for sure what we can do, we'll call and, of course, it's something have to be approved, what do you know, by you guys? Well, kind of what I'm gathering is you guys would be okay if we did.
Yeah, and I mentioned this last week, and I can't remember, but how are we each principal with getting the office set aside for your SROs. Everybody good on that? I couldn't remember what the principals had to say. if
I
they
think,
did
I think
it.
there've been maybe some minor carpentry work, and we're able to do that in-house with our maintenance
Mr.
people.
Owens, Mr. Shannon,
And,
and Danny and myself, and our CTE, Mr.
Yeah,
Flowers.
Mr. Flowers.
We've got a plan, and it's, as soon as materials become available, we're on it. It'll be quick work. We've got it.
In talking with an officer, you know, they like to be in their car some, just like, so they can get in and ride around the back of the school and that sort of thing. So I believe they'll do a good job protecting us with a, you know, inside office would be handy, but they know what they need to do to protect us.
Absolutely, no doubts.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's all I have.
Mr. Beatty, you have anything? Ms. Kim?
Just hope everybody has a wonderful year. No problems, stress-free. I wish it all.
Ms. Reverend?
I'm glad attendance is in September when everybody's happy.
Begin up.
We adjourn.
I always saw one.